Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another episode of Hilaal Live from the Cape Town studios. My name is Luqman Shadrack, away for a little bit. I'm back in Cape Town. Jazakallah so much for following me on my journey as I toured Cairo and Egypt, covering the humanitarian aid that was delivered to Gaza. Jazakallah for all the du'as. Really appreciate it. It's Wednesday, and back in studio, we have our firm favorite, Fadwa Booley. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Shukr so much for coming into studio again. I really appreciate it. Our previous sessions, we had quite a bit of feedback from our viewers, and we're going to open up the WhatsApp line very shortly as well, where our viewers can be part of the show, which we did on the last episode, and they sent messages in. And one of the messages or concerns and questions was about, how do I know when it's my time to go for Hajj? Is there specific calling? Is there something that happens within my surroundings that tells me, you know what, it's my time?
Yes, there is. So in my experience, 10 years ago, I was on Hajj, alhamdulillah. And what happened before that was in 2011, I got this feeling over me that I so much want to go to Makkah, right, for Hajj. So alhamdulillah, I've been there twice before, but for Umrah, my dad took me when I was 9 years old and then again at 19. And then this overwhelming feeling came over me that I so much want to complete my Hajj, you know. And then at the time I told my husband, like, I'm going to apply for Hajj. And he looked at me and he said, and I actually just applied, and then I told him when he came home from work, I applied on Sauk. I put my names down, and he said, like, when do you like to go? I said, if we can go next year, because now I just got this pull. It was such a pull. So I don't know if everybody experiences the same thing, but it's like a calling, it's a pull from within inside. Like, I want to go to Makkah. You start getting emotional when you see the Kaaba. You start getting emotional when you make your salawat. I'm going to tell you another example what happened to me now recently. And then it was that pull, right? So at the time, my husband was saying he's been for Hajj, he's not in a big hurry to go. And I just couldn't get rid of this pull. Every single day I woke up, every day I asked Allah, like, Ya Allah, please make this happen for me. And then I said, I was even determined at the time to, I said, okay, if he's not wanting to go, then if I get accredited, then I can take my brother with me, and I'm prepared to pay for my brother. This is like my thought process at the time. And then it was the last week coming up to the last accreditation. I was still hoping to get the accreditation. And then nothing happened. But then I started making istikhara. And in that dream, I remember I was in my running shoes and I'm with my mother. And I said, if we run for 1 hour, we'll make it in time for Medina.
Right.
And then I woke up and I said, I am on my way, but it's not my time yet. And I got the sense of calmness over me. So when the listener or the viewer sent in that message to ask, how do you know? I think it's just a knowing. Everybody's probably different. You'll probably see messages like with me. If I see something 3 times, maybe a book title or something, it will be like, okay, I need to do this.
Right.
Last year, 2 years ago, so that was the Hajj story. 3 years ago, a friend of mine went on a spiritual retreat, which is known as the Vipassana silent retreat. And then she was telling me, like, Fadwa, you should really go. So I said, how does it work? So she said, you give in your cell phone, you give in everything, you have your own room, and you can't talk to anybody, you can't write, you can't read. And I said, oh, I'd like to do this, but I was like quite scared because at that time I was very attached to my cell phone. And then I think deep down I made a niyyah, but also not making the niyyah, you know what I mean? I've inquisitiveness. I said I want to experience this. And last year, the entire year last year, this pull came that I need to go on the silent retreat because the noise was so bad, like so much in my head. And I was just in a turmoil space inside my mind and my heart and everything. And I said, I want complete silence. And then one of my life coaches also said, by the way, you need to go silent because your brain is like not switching off at all. And then when my dad was still alive, so I was telling him about it. And I was saying like, you know, I want to do the silent retreat. And he looked at me and he burst out laughing. He said, you that talk so much, I don't think you will survive. I said, no, but I really want to do it. And last year, I went online and I looked for this place and I registered. And then I got the SMS to say that I've been accepted. And I think what day did I leave? I left on the 12th of October. So the calling was there. Allah wanted me to go in silence. It was a Buddhist retreat, mind you. It was everything vegetarian. And then I thought, how do I do this? Because, like, you think of the judgment, you're going to go, people's going to say, no, but it's a Buddhist retreat and that. But, it was the best experience ever. Because now I took my musalla with, I took my salah clothing with and everything. And one of the rules were that we can't do any type of religious prayers. But obviously I wasn't going to listen because my Allah comes first instead of rules. I go against rules like that. And then the first day that I was there, I snuck in, because we're not allowed to do any of this, but I snuck in, and I'm now saying it loud on TV. I snuck in one of those digital tasbihs. And I said, I'm going to be in salawat through this time of being there. And then the very first day, I think I reached about either 2,500 to 3,000 salawats that I did in that time. And then I got my second calling for Umrah. And the experience was so amazing because I couldn't talk. And my thing is, when I process, I need to talk because I need to make sense of what's happening in my mind.
Of course.
And I was in the space of where you're in complete meditation, you just sit quietly. And they teach you to meditate. They teach you to feel your body. You actually feel the cells in your body. You get to a point where you actually feel every single movement in your body because you're sitting so still. And as the thoughts rise, it dies. They teach you as it rises, you don't react. Because what happens is we think of something, we react in our minds. We should have said this and we should have said that. So there's a space of just complete calmness. So there was three times in the day that we had to go compulsory meditation. Otherwise, you could stay in the room. And I was so burnt out at the time that I slept most of the time when I wasn't in the main wall for meditation. And when I came back, I would be in my tahajjud, I'd be on my musalla, like making sure my windows and curtains are closed. Nobody can see me doing religious activities in my room. But it was the most amazing experience, and I could relate to when the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to go to the cave for 40 days and sit in complete silence because you know what, you give your body time to find the answers within. Because every single answer you need in your life is not it's not out of you, it's inside of you. And you need to go quiet, like completely quiet. So, I mean, what do? We go online, we go on TikTok, we go on Instagram, we go on Facebook, we're constantly on WhatsApp groups, and this constant stimulation. Here was absolutely nothing, no sound, nothing. And it was such an amazing experience. So when I came back, I was, like I said, that salawat, because I made with Nia, with an intention that the salawat I'm granting, making on behalf of my father. And I said, Ya Allah, please give him opportunity to sit with the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam by his feet and give him that opportunity. So I did that with that intention. And then there was a time when I was so terrified because we experienced a Cape Cobra, because we're now in the mountain. And then that night I just felt this anxiety because now we broke silence. I myself and another woman, we broke silence because we spoke, we're not supposed to speak. And I came into the room and I said, Ya Allah, I'm feeling so scared, you know, and please allow my father just to be with me. And that night I'd actually dreamed of him. The morning after Fajr, I dreamed of him. And when I came home, then that urge came again, that calling came, because now I was thinking of Medina all the time. I was thinking of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam all the time. And I just said, I went to my husband, I said, would it be okay if I go for Umrah? And he said, alone? I said, yes, alone. But I ended up taking my son with me for that experience. But that calling will be where it's like a pull in your stomach, a pull in your heart, both at the same time. And you get this overwhelming feeling of just emotion, of tears.
I would imagine. Did you have to prepare yourself spiritually before you left for Umrah? Were there any spiritual, awareness that you had to do in order to prepare yourself?
I think the spiritual awareness I already prepared on my silent retreat. When I came back, it was now getting to the point of booking, making sure who I'm traveling with and that type of thing, and getting my son into the space of, come, go with. And he said, I'm not ready. I said, it's an opportunity. I said, I was 19 years old the second time I went. You approaching 19. It's not as big as Hajj, and when he came back, he says, there's not a day that goes by he doesn't think of Makkah.
Amazing. He
doesn't think of his trip. So spiritually, yes, you should prepare, but I think you automatically there, when you're there, you fall into that, depends on who you're traveling with. The matof or the spiritual leader will basically put you in that buzz with the dhikrs that we put on, and all our spiritual stuff, like our ziyarah places and stuff. So automatically you step into that.
Okay, gotcha. Amazing. We're chatting to Fadwa Booley around whether you experienced that specific call-in for Umrah or Hajj. Let us know your thoughts on our WhatsApp line as well. We're going to open up the WhatsApp line. WhatsApp messages only 079 085 2511. 079 085 2511. Send us your very special experience when you had that call-in before you left for Umrah or Hajj. You are still watching Hilaal Live. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Hilaal Live. Thanks for watching us on channel 347 or on our live stream, www.hilal.tv. It's Wednesday and we've got Fadwa Booley back in studio chatting to us about much needed awakening that needs to happen before we prepare for our Umrah and Hajj trip as well. Fadwa, jazakallah so much for coming into studio. Appreciate it. Now, what are the steps that one needs to take? I mean, we know that mentally we need to prepare ourselves, spiritually we need to prepare ourselves, but there are other factors that's involved. Family life, business life, things like that, that one needs to sort of get in place prior to going on Umrah or Hajj.
Yes, so it's looking at how long you're going to go for, closing your business. Look, I'm self-employed. If you're working for a boss or institution, you need to apply for your leave and how much leave. Also, I'd advise the listeners to put in some days off when you come back. Don't just go back in because it takes about 2 weeks to settle in because when you're in Makkah, you're on a spiritual buzz, man. This is what our bodies are made for. That you're just in, you're just in, how can I say, prayer mode. You're like in a spiritual, it's the adhan all day, you're just busy worshipping. I said, so we just float. I just call you floating. I just got a hujaj earlier and I bumped into her. And then I said, Hajj Makbul, she said, I still can't believe it. She said, I feel like I'm still floating. I feel like I still have to wake up.
I hear that a lot from a lot of people.
That is true because it took me about 2 weeks to settle in. I cried for 2 weeks when I was back after Hajj that the doctor wanted to put me on antidepressants. And then I said I didn't want to take any antidepressants because I was in a space where I just cried. Every time I heard the adhan, I just cried because I thought, and one day I just heard this voice telling me, I'm closer to you than your jugular vein. And I realized I didn't have to be in a place to actually feel Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's closer to me than that. And I snapped out of it and I went on with life again.
Wow.
But a lot of Hujjaj said that they experience the same thing where you come back home and you must settle into life. So I would advise Hajj or Umrah, pilgrims to take off from work. Don't just rush back into work. Take about a week or two to settle in, to sleep, to climatize, to reconnect with the children again, because that rushing afterwards, when you come back, it's a different vibe altogether.
Of course.
Because when you're there, it's Allah, Allah, Allah all the time.
So I just come back from a trip where I realized how unfit I am because, it's running from airport to airport and even in Cairo as well, you do quite a bit of walking because you can't park very close wherever you need to be. So like that, when you travel, especially for our pilgrimage, one needs to assess your fitness levels.
Yes.
Okay. What advice do you have for those that would like to get a little fitter? And also, what advice do you have for those that are not so fit, that would like to get up to par?
I would say start now already. Even if you're applying for next year Hajj or Umrah, start now. Just go for regular walks, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes walk and build it up to about an hour to an hour and a half. Today our time isn't all that. We don't always have the time available. Look at your sugars that you're intaking and get down your weight, especially if you're a bit unfit and overweight. Get down your weight because in Makkah you're going to do a hell of a lot of walking, like a lot of walking. And
there's no Ubers.
No.
You can't.
You can, but there's like shuttles and stuff, but it's the walking and it's the walking is like you sit around the Kaaba and sometimes the mataf is too full and you have to go on the top level and it's like the amount of people. So the shuffling between the people, that's what takes your glute muscles and your gastrocnemic muscles, which is your calf muscles. Those muscles will take strain, you'll actually feel it.
Right.
So I will say pack in like stuff like deep eat because you're going to be walking a lot. You're going to be walking either on hoofs or on socks or bare feet for the men. You'll be used to using tackies if we're out walking and running.
Right.
So take things with like maybe compression socks for your flight and then nice ointments to rub out your legs because I could feel it after our Umrah and things that how your legs actually pain. And then of course asai, some people walk slow. I walked quite fast, so I was like, you need to be fit. When I came back, I could see, okay, I had lost 9 centimeters because my body became firmer because we walked such a lot. One day, my watch told me I walked about, for one day, like 30,000 steps. So I was like, I was getting stars. And the other day, it said I did a couple of million steps so far since I got the watch. I said, wow, I did actually cover so many steps. So you actually get your fitness in Makkah, but before you go, be sure to be fit, because otherwise you're going to struggle.
And it can become uncomfortable.
It can.
You know, just in case you pick up an injury, they say once you reach 40s, you know, unscheduled injury may
Yes.
just be scheduled for you.
Yes.
So as we get older as well. You know?
Absolutely. And also like for Medina now, right? We entering winter in Medina. When I went, it was ice cold. I didn't expect Medina to be so cold that I picked up a cold in I think my bladder, I had a bladder infection, and I was in bed for a few days. So all the Hujjaj going now on pilgrims for Umrah, be sure to pack in thick socks. Be sure to pack in tracksuit pants to wear under your salah top. Even for the males when they go, especially for Fajr in the morning. When I got there the first night, my son was cold. He didn't feel great. He had a migraine. And I had to quickly look. Luckily, I had Rials on me. So have Rials on you. So when you reach Medina, you're going to adjust to the weather. Take a nice warm jacket with those puffer feather ones. Right. It really worked well. I didn't. I just took a shawl with me. I had to buy me a tracksuit in Medina, like a nice fleecy tracksuit. I was wearing my son's tracksuit pants. And it was freezing cold, especially in the morning, and after Asr, after 4, you'll feel that ice cold wind coming. So it's a valley, and the weather is ice cold compared to our weather. It's a dry, cold weather.
Okay, interesting. Now, as we do prepare ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually as well, we often enough would need assistance from family members, because you may have to leave kids behind, and kids need to be dropped off at school and fetched, and things like that as well. What advice do you have for our Hujjaj that need to prepare for that as well?
Yes, see who your kids are the most comfortable with, right? I could rely on my mother, my sister, my in-laws. I could rely on them. And my daughter slept by my mom the entire time because she was like quite attached to my mother. And when I went away, it's like a detachment process. You must remember, any type of pilgrimage, whether it's Hajj or Umrah, you're detaching from this dunya. So you're detaching from your children. There was a time in Makkah when I was on my Hajj, I was just walking, and my kids were still very small at the time. I left a 5-month-old baby behind.
Sure.
And at that time, I was looking at people as I'm like my thought process. I looked at the people walking to the haram for dhuhr, and I said, everybody just in plain white salah tops with those white long underpants on, right? And I'm thinking, I wonder, I'm not just worried about my kids, if their hair's brushed, what they're wearing. And also that was a part that it was a wake-up call for me. It was like a mini death for me, because I was away in Makkah, but my kids and their lives were carrying on at home. It's like I didn't have to worry about them. And when you say labbaik and when you walk away towards that plane, Allah places something within you, because I felt it. It's like you detaching completely from home and the children. And I remember coming to Medina the first night. I think we got there the Tuesday, and then by the Thursday when I was settling in, and was now went for my Hajj classes at Quds. And then I used to be in this dhikr, Ya Latif and that. And then I used to picture how I would be in Medina, because I've been there twice before, so I knew what it looked like, what to expect. And I would be in that space. But the Thursday night, we still got a message to say that my son did so well in his exam. And then I'm thinking, why is my husband so sad? Like, we're here and we're away from everybody. I'm like, couldn't understand. And then I hear Ya Latif, and I'm thinking, I was like, almost like I transported back to madrasa class. And I'm like, I used to make dua and say, Ya Allah, please grant me this opportunity,
Couple of minutes left. How do we incorporate those lessons we've learned on Hajj and Umrah back into our lives when we get back home?
Now, here's the warning. Your Hajj and Umrah only starts when you get back home. Because now you are...
Your true tests.
Your true test. Now it's people that's going to trigger you. Those things. So incorporation is, you make niyyah to say that when the adhan go off, you're going to drop everything like you did it in Makkah.
Nice.
Here, when you're here, it's like life happens. Okay, I'll do it later. Make that niyyah to drop everything. If you're in the shop in Medina or Makkah, the adhan goes, they close up, they leave that stuff on the counter, they come back and pick it up. Here, we still want to pay for the thing and say, okay, we can do it later. Try and incorporate that. It's not always as easy as it is there, but if you just make your niyyah to do that. Also, whatever you did in Makkah, try and keep it up here. What I did here in Makkah, I bought myself a book and I sat in the haram and I did all my new bucket list goals. I sat and I said, Allah, give me inspiration and tell me what I need to write down. So the things like journaling and things, I sat in the haram and I did that right by the Kaaba.
Nice.
I do that every day here in any case. So it's just incorporating that in your daily life, but you make it the niyyah of having that energy that you had there to do it here, because life is busy here. But you must remember, it's Allah first, Allah last, Allah everything. And so you treat your life like that. And once you treat your life like that, you see Allah's hand in everything when you do it like that.
Fantastic. We always ask you about any upcoming workshops. I know it's towards the end of the year. People are starting to wind down a bit. Do you have any workshops coming up that people can tune into?
So I've created the brand new workshop called the Imposter Syndrome.
Okay.
So I've been asked to do that. A lot of people are saying they suffer from the imposter syndrome. So that will be coming up soon. Might be this Sunday. I'm just feeling, because I was like, I'm already in festive mode.
I know, everyone is.
I just want to just cut off now. Otherwise, I will run it end of January, definitely, and then we'll start the whole Soul series again. Okay. So there is definitely new workshops for next year.
Brilliant.
That I've sat down and I've started creating, alhamdulillah. So yes, to look out for those workshops coming up soon.
Fadwa, Jazakallah so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. We look forward to next week's edition just before the year end.
Yes, inshallah.
Have a good one. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
That's Fadwa Booley, comes in on a Wednesday and gives us much needed advice about aspects of our life that we can always better. After the break, I chat to an author. Look out for that one. You're listening to Hilaal Live.